So there's a little rumor going around that Michael Chandler and versus Conor McGregor isn't going to happen anymore. Reportedly, Conor McGregor isn't interested anymore. At least that's what Michael Chandler's thinking. Maybe this is all going to be like an elaborate ruse and Conor McGregor's going to come out and say, yeah, I'm just messing with you. We can fight on UFC 300. But I have a feeling that part of the reason that there hasn't been anything announced is because Conor is playing with the idea of fighting somebody else. Like, he's probably asking Dana, maybe these Abu Dhabi meetings that are happening, they're going a little something like this. We got Conor coming up to this, like, multi-billion-dollar hotel and is like, hey, Dana, I understand that we had a whole season of The Ultimate Fighter. I understand that Michael Chandler is still ranked number 5 in the lightweight division, despite coming off a loss and hasn't fought in a whole year. But I think I'm going to be interested in somebody else. The most interesting part about this entire thing is this is getting spun as a fumble for Michael Chandler. Let me make something clear here. Michael Chandler has almost zero negotiation. Like, there is no leverage that he has in this. The only thing that he has is what the UFC has given him, and that is his top 5 ranking. They have allowed him to keep that because logically he shouldn't have it. He hasn't really done anything to deserve a top 5 ranking. And, the question that you would logically ask next if this fight isn't going to happen, who is Conor going to fight? And the problem is, for Chandler at least, for the fans, this works out for us. But we have 2 fights here. There's 2 fights, one of which is more interesting, admittedly. The other is a gimmick fight. There's just no other way to call it. And both of these, at least in my mind, are going to be on UFC 300. One of these being the trilogy fight between him and Nate Diaz. Complete the trilogy, a fight that he's been hinting at for a very long time. And I do not like this. I know a lot of people are saying that this is like one of the most wanted trilogies in the history of combat sports. I never understood it. It's not that good of a fight. It was good before the Khabib fight. It was good. It would have been good at right after the Donald Cerrone fight. It's just not good anymore. It's not interesting anymore. I don't really care for it. The fact is I think it's crazy that Francis, we can completely delete him from the MMA history books. This is the UFC. They can completely try to delete him from MMA history for doing what Nate Diaz did, but Nate Diaz can come back whenever he wants to fight Conor. I think that sets a bad precedent, and that's what the UFC does do. They try to set a precedent with fighters. So this is a bad precedent to set. The other fight that I'm more interested in that kind of sucks for Chandler because it does make slightly more sense if you're going to go this route, and that is Charles Oliveira. So Charles Oliveira has been hinting at there's a big fight announcement coming up. And around that same day, it was either a day before or the day of that little thing that Charles Oliveira sent, we got Conor McGregor going to Abu Dhabi and talking about options. They're going to talk about, we're going to get something squared away, and I imagine at the beginning of January, after USADA's deal with the UFC is done, we are going to see a fight announcement for Conor McGregor. I hope for Chandler's sake that he gets the fight. I think that's still a good fight. Can it headline UFC 300? I have a feeling it's going to, but it doesn't deserve it. And please, for the loving of all, do not do the Nate Diaz trilogy. I just don't want it. I don't. Nate Diaz did not look good in his last fight. It's just because he fought Tony Ferguson. That's really why. I would be okay with Charles Oliveira versus Conor. And Charles has been asking for Conor. But join the club. Everybody's asking for him. What do you do with poor Chandler, though? I have a feeling the UFC is going to, let's assume that they say no to Chandler. They say, okay, our fight announcement for UFC 300 is Charles Oliveira versus Conor McGregor main card. Number 1 contenders match. Winner gets to fight Islam Makhachev next. What about Michael Chandler? Oh, Michael Chandler can fight Beneil. Chandler might actually have a nervous breakdown, bro. And people are looking at him like, oh, you're just so desperate for a money fight. It's embarrassing. He has sacrificed over a year off of his entire career. He's an older lightweight. He can't afford to do this. To get a money fight with Conor, took time out of his career to coach the season of The Ultimate Fighter. Bro put his heart and soul into that. And now he's not even going to get the fight. Like, I hope he gets it purely because I do feel kind of bad for Chandler. But I have a feeling that something is going to happen in Conor McGregor. We're going to get a weird Conor McGregor fight. And that's kind of what I want to ask you guys. Do you guys like the idea of Conor McGregor fighting a different opponent? Or do you want him to stay the course and we get a Conor McGregor versus Michael Chandler for UFC 300? I don't know. I think both are interesting, but at the end of the day, I'm just here to talk about it. That's going to be it for the video. If you like this type of content, please consider like, comment, subscribe. Helps me in the algorithm. Try to get around like 1 to 2 videos out a day. Already got one out earlier. Thank you guys for your support. Adios, guys. Thank you for watching.